Sleep better. I have so much more energy.
Throughout the day, I can focus better. I can concentrate in my work.
Our church worship service lasts 45 minutes. For the last 2 years, I've not been able to stand that long. 2.5 weeks into wearing the X39 patch, the pastor said, "You can now be seated." It dawned on me at that moment that, my goodness, I've been standing this whole time, didn't realize it.
After starting using the technology for approximately 2 weeks, my pain completely disappeared.
32 years of pain gone in 3 days.
I just love the products. They just help me to feel younger and younger year after year.
Thank God for X39.
My skin become younger, softer, firmer.
It's been really amazing.
I love X39 because it really helped reduce the inflammation in my knee. I can now run again. Woohoo!
Welcome, everyone. I'm Connie Lucas. I'm a Senior Presidential Director with LifeWave. And tonight I'm here with a guest speaker, and this is our practitioner call. But I'd like to welcome everybody, particularly if you're a guest, to the stem cell revolution. Most everybody wants to look younger, feel younger, perform younger. You know, we want to just look, feel, perform better. And so stem cells are the key to this. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about an historic breakthrough in stem cell technology that's affordable, patented, wearable, simple, and easy to use. It's non-invasive, it doesn't interact with anything, and it is going to be life-changing for those of you that haven't tried it yet. Tonight we're going to focus on some testimonies and stories. So if there's any of you out there who have some really great results that you want to share on X39, I would ask you to go ahead and raise your hand. If you look in your menu bar, you're going to see a place that has a little reaction sign. It's a little smiley face. If you could click on that and raise your hand, I would ask you to be brief. You know, LifeWave and its brand partners do not claim to treat, diagnose, or cure any diseases. So if we could keep to symptoms and talk about, this is what was going on with me. I used X39 and this was the result. This is what happened. And so I'd ask you to raise your hand, we'll bring you in. But tonight is really exciting because we're going to be talking about what is the problem. And the problem is the older we get, the fewer stem cells we have and the faster we age. And so we're going to talk a little bit with our guest practitioner tonight, Thomas Acklin, MD. And I want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Tom. He's the leading edge voice in neuroscience and gut-brain integrity. And the big key to understand is he is a functional medicine neurologist. And Dr. Tom brings an expertise of working with people with autoimmune, with neurological issues, with cancer. And he really has focused a lot of what he has done over the past 17 years in rebuilding of microbiome, in helping people with food and medicine. And when he saw this technology, he saw one more tool to basically enhance the outcome of every single thing he was doing with his patients. And so I'd like to bring Dr. Tom on with me tonight. And some of what you're going to hear is you're going to hear him talk about how are these patches made? You'll hear him talk about how do they work? I mean, they seem like they're just this crazy technology. You put this thing anywhere within 3 to 6 inches of the body, and it starts to activate a copper peptide called GHKCU in the body so that you can then start having the benefits of younger, healthier stem cells. So welcome, Dr. Tom. Thank you for joining me.
It is an honor to be here. Thank you.
Yay, yay. So I would love to tonight, if we can, I'd really like to start off. I see that Dr. Henrietta has her hand up. So if we could get Gregory to let her in, share her story, and then that'll probably trigger some conversation and we'll get into some Q&A and some really gritty, nitty-gritty details for all of our guests. Gregory, can we get Dr. Henrietta in here?
Yes, I think I promoted her to panelist so she can turn her camera on and we should be able to see her.
while we're waiting for Dr. Henrietta, she's been a good friend for many years, and she and I decided to start working some wellness shows together a couple of years ago. And one of the very first ones, and I might tell this story later, that we worked together was several months after I initially was exposed to X39 and LifeWave's technologies. And I had some wonderful, wonderful experiences there at that show. A lot of the technologies that we work with work in minutes. A lot of times folks don't feel them right away, but these are immediate technologies. You put the patch on the skin, as Connie said, it's a little white adhesive, and if it's within 3 to 6 inches of the body, it's cooking. Not everybody feels it right away, but it works. And some of our technologies, actually, we do feel right away, and folks find themselves in some really nice comfort. And the good news and the bad news is the patches work. So for folks who have a lot of stuff that the body has been accumulating over the years, I think, Henrietta, you're going to tell a story about something that people might not be jumping up and down about. Yeah.
Yes, I I remember when you first gave me the patches, and I thought, all right, another technology to learn. What is this now about? Don't I have done enough? And so on a Sunday evening, I think, is when I tried them first. You had given me X39, you had given me some of the others, and I decided to start with the stem cell patch because it made the most sense.
That's the way we start. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we all start. And I'm not someone who's was suffering, had nothing chronic going on. And in my life, I have often processed things emotionally, much less through my body than through my emotions. And my first reaction as I got to bed that night, I was kind of okay. I said, well, let's see, 12 hours. I'll take it off in the morning and see. I had no idea that during the day that would be better at the time. And I'm sure you gave me instructions and I missed them completely because there's so many white discs floating around. All right. I wake up the next morning and I'm grumpy, right? Like, what is this? I am grumpy. I was in such a bad mood. I was grumpy for 2 days, and then it went away, and the rest of the week was heavenly. It was wonderful. And when I thought of how I actually often process things, grumpiness is definitely one of the symptoms of a healing crisis, if you will. Something you let go of, and it just needed to get out. And it wasn't even specific.
So you knew the technologies were working and not necessarily in the way that you had prescribed them to work.
In the way that I had been told they might, right? Because there's so many varieties, and this is 3 years ago. So we didn't have quite as much as we do now on the X39 and some of the other patches. And since all of our practitioners are working together, advising people and also getting our own experiences, it's a very rich field of discovery, and that benefits all of those who choose to use the patches.
Well, you brought up something, I think, too, that the studies show that 75% of people feel something immediately. And generally speaking, that's more energy, better sleep. So many times we hear people say, I just feel better, have this overwhelming sense of just feeling good, right? And so, but not everybody, to your point, responds that way. So it is good to know if you're out there and your immediate reaction isn't, oh my God, I feel fantastic. It's just your body coming back into balance and starting to work on things. So that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Henrietta, I mean, my goodness, we have you on here. We might as well say you also have used it in your practice as well, and have seen many, many spectacular things working with different patients with your practice as well. And for those of you that have never met Dr. Henrietta, she is also one of our guest speakers on our Tuesdays. So come back and hear her when she's our guest speaker as well. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure.
Lavelle, how are you?
Excellent, Connie. Hi, how are you? And hi, Dr. Tom. Dr. Tom, my brother, his name is Dr. Tom, too. He graduated from Hahnemann Medical School in Philadelphia in 1976. He lives out here in California with me, but I wanted to share about one of my directors in our group. Her name is Vilma Posadas. Vilma is a classical pianist, originally from the Philippines. She actually has played for the president's wife of the Philippines. And she was born with I guess I can say it, I hope I can, a congenital heart condition. And they said that there was no cure for it. And she's been dealing with it her entire life. Well, I actually emailed David Schmidt, and David Schmidt said use the X39 and the energy patches. Actually, I have the energy on. And in 2 years of her wearing those patches, she went to her doctor, and her doctor said, you do not have that congenital heart condition. That is a phenomenon. That is something that is just amazing. And then she also had curly fingers because she's a classical pianist. And she had so much pain, and now she doesn't have that pain anymore. So I want to encourage people to keep, like we always say, the consistency. Keep wearing these patches, because I was listening to your Zoom on Sunday, Connie, when I think another doctor, I don't know if it was Dr. Acklin, I don't know if that was you. I think it was another doctor that was on Sunday, and he was talking about stem cells. They go to help with the GI tract as well as your cardiovascular system. And guys, I just want to keep just reminding people, keep wearing these patches, keep those minerals in your system, and just be consistent. Thanks for letting me share, Connie.
Thank you, Laval. Thank you so much. Dr. Tom, anything you want to add on to that about how the body prioritizes where it works and how it's going to be different for each and every person, you know, specific to what's currently going on with them?
Well, Laval used a very important word, specific. And the specificity, as we often say, we have high hopes. A lot of folks have high hopes when they first hear a lot of these success stories. The technologies will go to work where the body needs it most, not necessarily where we think it should be done. And that consistency, when you think about a regenerative medicine picture, and the body's continually regenerating, we're either growing older or we're growing younger. To the extent that we can't handle inflammation in the moment, and we can't handle the damage that we encounter in the moment, and we can't handle the things of life in the moment, the body holds on to that, right? It might be at a tissue level. It might be, interestingly, as Henrietta pointed out, at an emotional level. But where we can't handle the inflammation, then all of a sudden, that thing that's supposed to be handled like that in a healthy, thriving body in the moment has to be banked, right? So that goes off. And then all of a sudden that goes in the interest category, and the body's got to wait to handle that. Almost all the time when we step into a scenario where we're talking about chronic disease, we're talking about that happened one day, and it happened the next day, and it happened the third day. And I think everybody on this call knows what compound interest is, right? And then all of a sudden we're dealing with a body that is way, way, way behind. So the consistency really is, almost everybody sees something in the first 30 days or so. We very strongly recommend 60 to 90 days of use. And I like to suggest 3 to 6 months, really. And one of our catchphrases is, for every decade of life old you are, just count on a month, right? And see what happens. Take stock of how your life is going now. Look at every area of your life, your sleep, your exercise, your emotions, your stamina, et cetera, et cetera. Do you like it, right? And to the extent that you don't like it, watch it evolve over the 6 months, right? And then we work very closely with each other, and we'll hold your hand as you step into a place where you get to look at yourself in a new kind of regenerative space. And sometimes it's a great relief, right? And pain disappears. And sometimes it's a great surprise, and some things appear that the body should have taken care of years ago, but didn't. And now all of a sudden has the capacity. We'll touch on that some more later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. I just wanted to share my mom's story.
as we work with Dr. Tom, and on the X39, and she puts that patch on every day, and she started out with some immense lower back pain and pain down her leg, and had to have a procedure every 3 months, which was excruciating. And Anne and Tom patched her with a triangle of the LifeWave and the Eon. And that was 5.5 months ago. She no longer is seeing that doctor, and she's not taking that opiate medicine that they wanted to give her. And she is completely pain-free. And I mean, she was at a 10 in tears every night, every morning. It was consistent. It was horrible. And she talked about, the quality of her life. Like, I need to step out. I mean, it was really serious. And here she is, no cane, no walker, no wheelchair, gave it all back, and going on 91 in June.
I love it. Your mom is darling. And let me just kind of be very clear. When you said a triangular, people are going to ask, it was X39 on the back of the neck, correct?
Yes.
It was LifeWave and pain patches on the bottom of her feet, tan on the left, white on the right. And then I'm going to assume, Dr. Tom, that you pancaked an Eon on top of the tan patch. Cheryl, is that correct?
No, they started
on somewhere else.
They started that triangle on her back.
Oh, they did on the back. Okay.
The base of the spine, and on they asked her, the brown patch, which side hurts the most.
Okay.
So this is a great opportunity just to say, X39 really is the top of our mountain, right? David's been doing this for 25 years. We have about 20 different technologies, and X39 debuted about 4 years ago. And does what all of the other technologies do. Some of the other ones enhance certain situations. Some of them are more specific in certain situations, but we're always using X39, right? So when we talk about 6 to 9 months of continuous daily use, that's X39. Realistically, as we mentioned before, sometimes the body says some things that are uncomfortable. And in some very specific situations, we want to be a little bit careful, because putting the X39 on and letting the body speak when it's been trying to say something for a long time might not be fun for the patient, right? And so we want to be a little bit more prudent. And that was a special case there where we actually used Eon, which is one of our general anti-inflammatory patches. Very powerful total body anti-inflammatory. And it's a little bit more gentle, and it also has autonomic nervous system stabilization. So our autonomics are our fight or flight versus our rest and relax system. When the body has the capacity to navigate that balance and go back and forth and rest, right? Handle the stress and come back to center. Handle the relaxation and come back to vigor, right? That's autonomic stability. And that's what Eon does. So we used Eon as a security blanket and kind of an entry point, and a little bit of a soft wake-up call for the body before she could handle. And what a beautiful story.
And now she wears the 39 and the 49. And when I had to take a trip in the middle of all of this mess, and so I had a neighbor come in and stay with her, and now the neighbors all want what she's doing.
Of course.
I mean, they're literally they're at the door.
That's community service.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Do we have anybody else that would like to share? Go ahead and get your hand up so Gregory can make you a panelist and get you in. And I want you to remember that we're hearing stories, sometimes we're hearing things that sound like big miracles, because they are big miracles. All the time we're hearing stories of things that, medical science has said forever cannot be handled. And here it is, the body is now able to handle it. And so also think about the things that everybody needs. Everybody wants to feel more energy. everybody wants to have deep, deep sleep and better sleep. And quality of sleep is really difficult for so many people these days. And, you know, we're all looking for certain things that maybe you're not feeling overwhelmed. You know, you're handling stress better. There's all kinds of things. So raise your hands if you've got a story to share, even if you don't think it's that big, giant miracle story. We really want to hear from you and hear some of your results. So Paula, it'll be so nice to see you, Paula. Let's go ahead and get Paula upgraded to a panelist so she can come on, and then we'll go to Rodana next.
While we're waiting for Paula, good opportunity to let people know that David's very first technology was with the Navy SEALs and with athletes. And a lot of the technology that we call energy enhancer is geared towards putting the body back into a place where it recovers. And that can mean recover from injury. It can mean recover from normal athletic performance. It can mean recover on a regular basis from running up and down the stairs while we're doing our chores, right? And so, Paula, come on, you are a recovery angel this year.
So good to see you, Paula.
I'm glad to be here. It's
special
been a long
circumstances,
few
right?
months. Yes. It's been a long month or so, but I tell you, I've now made it a year on the patches, and I just think they're sent from God. I mean, they're amazing. The things that they have helped me with, between, you know, my flares from my autoimmune, to, you know, I had tinnitus for 9.5 years, and I don't hear the slightest bit of ringing in my ears now. And they said that surgery or hearing aids would be my next step, and I said, forget it. But a month into it, all of a sudden there was silence, and that was just amazing to me. And it's something I've had to struggle with for years. My dad had it, and they think it's hereditary, and he ended up going deaf in one ear. And the fact that I could actually hear everything, now it's like I hear too much. But between that and my autoimmune, the flares have just changed, and everything has just helped me so much.
Paula, remind us, because, you know, I know it's been a year now, and I remember when you first were sharing some of the amazing things, but you had times where, I mean, kind of describe a little bit about what it was like before you used X39, what your day looked like before.
I had been in a flare for I was diagnosed in 2017, so I'd been in basically a constant flare. I tried 6 different MS medications.
Let me ask you this: what is a flare? Because not everyone knows what a flare would mean. What does that mean?
It starts at the bottom of my left foot, and it's always the same. It goes up the left side of my body. I can feel it going up the left side of my body. It's pain. It feels like, the way I describe it to my husband is, it feels like millions of red ants and wasps inside stinging me at the same time. And as it goes up, it also turns into just like someone is stabbing me with a knife internally, and no one can see it, so they can't really, you know, tell my pain. But my husband has been my rock, and he's been there for me. And, you know, he's like, you know, we'll try anything. And I was over my neurologist at that point, and I was like, met Natalie, and Natalie said, would you try something? I said, if it's not medicine, I'll try anything, because I don't take pain medication when it comes to anything like that. And I had been taking Tylenol and ibuprofen, you know, for years. And when I was in a big flare, I would take Lyrica, but I don't like it. Don't like it at all. And it just absolutely, the first flare I had, I was like, and when I have a flare, I'm out. I mean, I am down for the count, out for anywhere from 6 hours to 48 hours. And it got to the point where my flares would get so bad, they go up the left side, my face would get numb, and then they'd start on my right side and go up. And when it got that bad, I also lost a few times to where I couldn't use my legs. And it got that bad to where it scared me. I went on my last MS medication, and it was like a toxin in my body again. I had an allergic reaction in the middle of the infusion, actually. And so
I'm sure she'll come back, Tom. But kind of explain so you started using the technologies and, oh, she's coming back in a different way. If you can explain, Tom, what was happening, like what you started to notice a difference with her and.
Are you there? I'm back.
There you go.
Sure.
Okay, my computer died. I'm sorry. And it was all so devastating to my body that I felt like the medicines were killing me. And they felt like toxins. And when Natalie said, do you want to try this? And I said, sure, I'll try anything that's not medicine, and what is it? And my husband was like, we'll do whatever, we'll try whatever. And we did. And then we started, using different patches for different things. And at that point, my husband started using them because he had a wrist issue and he has tennis elbow and this and that. And because at first he's like, oh, even if it's just a placebo, everything it's doing for you, I'm amazed, because I would be having a flare. My first flare I had about a month in to wearing the patches. I had no pain with it. And I had full energy. And my husband was like, you're in a flare, right? And I was like, yeah, I can tell because I get optic neuritis and my right eye gets frozen. I was like, I can tell I'm in a flare, but I have energy, and I'm running around the house with energy, and I'm not hurting. I didn't have pain with the flare. And that's what was so amazing to me.
And that was when you started noticing that things were starting to change, and then slowly
Correct.
over time of this past year, things have just gotten better and better and better, better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
They say, the months, I swear it was like right at 5 to 6 months is when everything had changed. I started seeing changes a week in, but about 4 or 5 months, and I'm 50. So 4 or 5 months in, is when I
There
saw
you
the
go. There's your decades.
That's it. That's it.
Love it. It's been fun to watch you get better, and so nice to meet you when I've met you in person as well. So thank you for sharing. I know for you, a flare is just like, oh, it's a flare. But for most people who have never experienced this or had a loved one experience this type of thing, thank you for explaining a little bit about what someone would be dealing with
very
that.
painful. Very painful.
Thank you so
And
much.
no one can see that. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
it's interesting when we step into a space of chronic pathology as well. We've got language for it all of a sudden. Very interestingly, here in the past generation plus, we're being bombarded with some things that we might not have language for. And as we're progressively poisoned, a lot of what we talk about in this community is lifestyle shift, right? So this is not just place the patch on. Putting these technologies on board is kind of like giving the body a glimpse of the end of the line. What's it going to look like when things are better? It doesn't take off the table the need to make the lifestyle changes, to drink clean water, to eat clean food, to think clean thoughts, to be around clean people, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very interesting. And really all of us have been bombarded with some novel frequencies and whatnot. I want to use that just as a quick bounce, because there's a question in the Q&A from one of our viewers in the Philippines suggesting asking what to do regarding exposure from radiation using gadgets, TV, etc., that will help our body battle these things, right? And the bottom line is we don't know what we've been bombarded with, right? We've got some novel frequencies here that rolled out in the past 5 years, and that's been happening over the course of a generation plus as well. So it's really important to put the body in a place where we've got the greatest protection and we've got the best insurance policy to handle these things, some of which are known. You can look at a food label and you can know what kind of poisons are coming in, and you can choose not to put that in you. A lot of the stuff that is right now being broadcast and in our water supply and whatnot, in our air, we don't have control over that. So it's a great, this is a great opportunity to put the body in a place where it really can handle life on life's terms, and it really can handle those unexpecteds that show up.
Thank you, Tom. Well, hello, Radena. Nice to
Hi
see
there,
you.
Connie. Nice
Um,
to meet you guys.
Yeah, and I'm excited because you work within energy medicine, and so I think the conversation, I'd love to hear from you what you discovered using the X39 technology, and I think that'll open up a little bit of a conversation for you and Tom, basically on how the patches work as frequency and some of the things, Tom, maybe as we wrap up some of the things that, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, just a little bit about that. So Rodena, why don't you go ahead and share?
Okay, great. I will tag on to what Dr. Tom was talking about really quick. Check out Organite. It's a crystal you can put in your home. It's a medium which will help in those things, your electrical thing your question was about. Organite. However, so I joined LifeWave as a preventive and proactive measure in 2022, I believe, thereabouts, because I heard too many stories about the wellness that it brings to people. And I am in a dental hygiene group, or dental hygiene is what my profession. And like Connie mentioned, I do Reiki energy as well. And that's what caught my attention with LifeWave, because it's a jump start to everybody's system that they can't see. So I'm the 25% that didn't feel anything. So what's it going to hurt to keep as well as I can? Because that's where I'm at. And over Christmas, I wore the wrong shoes on a ladder. Always wear right shoes on a ladder. And I did fall off of it. And I hyperextended 3 of my toes. And it was a pretty severe injury. I didn't break anything. However, I knew what to do. And I bombarded myself not only with patches, but with other things. But I did use the Eon, the energy enhancer, X39, X49. And I did jump on IceWave right away just because I was not in that much pain until I put pressure on the foot. However, I'm 2 weeks out, and I have to say that I don't know where I'd be without the patches. However, with the injury that I had, I can't believe I'm almost ready to do my dance fitness classes.
Great.
Probably 2 more weeks. I can probably do it. But I was in a boot, and it's like how I have to know that with these patches on board, I'm healed a lot much quicker. And I think being preventive and proactive in the beginning with my stem cells and my energy system, that it's only benefits you. So that's my story.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that. And, I used to joke, I've been a hairstylist for 42 years. And sometimes people would say to me, well, I don't know if I'm feeling anything. And I said, I'll tell you what, cut yourself. Cut yourself and watch how fast you heal, because I have cut myself and 2 days later, I can't find where I cut myself. And, a lot of people will say that, I haven't had my miracle. I haven't had my miracle. And then they have some kind of traumatic fall, injury, something. And the healing is so rapid, it's usually in half the time that it would typically be. And they're like, okay, now I see what it's actually doing. So,
well, having said that, in my profession, there's a lot of back pain. So I've shared with my coworkers, like, oh, my back's killing me. It's like, here, come here. So I'll give the IceWave to them, and they'll go, hey, that stuff really works. And so whenever anybody has a pain, they go see Rodena. So it is quite fun.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
so
guys.
Dr. Tom, we're at the bottom of the hour, but what do we want to do here just to wrap up and make sure anybody that's a guest understands, how the patches are working, how they don't interact with anything, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, well hydrated. Do you want to speak to that just briefly?
Sure. Let's start with just the use first, without even knowing how they work. We say 12 hours on, 12 hours off. When you take the patch off at night, wait at least 12 hours before you put that same technology back on. A lot of folks have put on, we've heard a story recently where take off the patch, put the same one back on, take off the patch, put the same one back on. Why are there 30 in a sleeve? Well, there are 30 in a sleeve because you're supposed to put a new patch on the next morning, right? A lot of folks do repurpose. Because we guarantee 12 hours of use from the amino acid structures, and these are nanocrystals, nothing actually in the patch that goes into the body. So this is not a transdermal system. Nothing's delivered. So you don't have to worry about this interacting with anything that other things that you have in your body. And if your doc has questions, you let them know. I like to suggest that people say, Doc, I've tried, I've decided I'm going to step into this for 90 days. Please be my partner. If you ask the doc, can I take this? Most of the time they're going to say no, they've never heard of it. They've heard of stem cells. They've heard of stem cell transplants, which can be dangerous, right? And most of the time the doc is going to say no. The great thing is, and let me use that just as a second. So everybody's looking for stem cells, and they work. Real stem cell transplants from bone marrow or from donors are incredibly powerful, but they are dangerous, they are expensive, and in many places they're illegal. They're not yet fully legal for good reasons. They come along with their own detriment. So David all of a sudden realized a decade plus ago that the future of regenerative medicine really was in stem cells and in frequency medicine, and he decided to focus on the stem cells. And now all of a sudden we've got a technology that can do without putting anything in the body what a lot of those other therapeutics could do. So approach your doc, say, hey, you know what, I'm really excited about this. I've heard some great stories. Please take my blood, look very closely at whatever you would like to see change over the next 6 months. We'll do a before. We'll do the therapeutic for 6 months, daily use of X39, and then we'll do after, right? Almost always the docs pop open their eyes and they say, holy moly, I've never seen this before, right? If you really do that. So that's the non-transdermal part. And I was going to talk about repurpose. So we guarantee 12 hours of use with those nanocrystal structures as they vibrate inside the biomagnetics of the body. They degrade, and so there comes a time where the patch is actually inert. But a lot of folks have found that there's up to 20 hours of use in the patch, and so we don't legally broadcast that we work with animals and other creatures, but they work on other creatures as well. So a lot of folks will take what they consider their used patch and put it on their dog's collar, or put it in the dog's bed, cat bed, or something like that, or sneak it under your spouse at night, and that kind of thing.
So that's great. That's great.
Yep.
So I would tell everybody, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for bringing your expertise and wisdom. And you've helped so many people already with the time that you've been in LifeWave. And we're going to touch so many other lives. So if you were a guest, please get back to the person that invited you here. They're going to talk to you about how you can get their wholesale pricing. And they're going to walk with you. They're going to help educate you, and they're going to support you to getting your desired result. Because this isn't about selling someone patches. This is about helping people get their desired outcome. So join us, get back to the person that invited you. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for spending about 40 minutes of your evening with us, and have a really great night. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.